Okay. All right. Thanks for your patience. So Keith Reynolds is presenting podcasting strategies, turning conversations into compelling content. Are you interested in using podcasting in your work or for your nonprofit? This interactive presentation will explore the art and strategy of podcasting with a focus on how to use live streaming to produce interviews or presentations and then repurpose them into a variety of content formats. So from blog posts to social media snippets, you'll discover ways to maximize the value of your podcast episodes, reach wider audiences, and establish yourself as a thought leader in your field. And you learn practical techniques for structuring the podcast for easier content extraction, and then exploring tools and workflows to streamline the content creation process. So your podcast goes far beyond the audio and video that you record. Keith produces the Smart Place Show along with Sarah Noonan, Tom Dempsey, airs on YouTube and LinkedIn every Thursday. He's a chief content marketing officer, strategist, writer, and producer at Publio, which he founded to help clients adopt an ROI-based content publishing model to promote their brand, build an audience, and grow their sales pipeline. And then he has a new venture, his Publio Studio, a virtual collaboration studio grounded in his 30 years of writing and marketing with big firms like IBM, Kodak, Apple, Cablevision, Verizon, Vodafone. And so through his lifetime of work, he's helped clients yield tens of thousands of qualified leads, captures hundreds of millions of dollars in sales pipelines, increase their sales, raised millions of dollars in startup capital. Whoa. Today, he works with clients in the studio to create and produce content strategies, in addition to his work as a fractional CMO, Chief Marketing Officer. And he's certified in inbound marketing and HubSpot solutions provider. Phew. Whoa. Okay, what a great setup. What isn't this man doing? Okay, take it away, Keith Reynolds.
It's really nice to meet everybody. And here, we're at the beginning of our learning curve, and we're also jumping off to new levels. And I really want to share what I've learned over the last 3 years of having a podcast. My big takeaway is there's more than 4 billion people on the internet, but how many do you need this year to achieve your goals? And think of your podcast kind of like the bat signal. It's not trying to be all things to all people. It's calling that one person, right? It's calling out to that one person, help, or become a customer. And so also that means it's not hugely important to have 1,000 people on your live stream or 1 million people come attend your webinar. Podcasting makes it now so we can have an intimate conversation like this and then use that content. And what Publio Studio is about is come in, spend some time. We know how to ask questions and we know what messaging you want to deliver, and we work with you to say that in a comfortable setting like this. We're all used to being on Zoom, but we can add titling and so forth so that you can make content and then use AI to turn that into more content. Just a little background. I was IBM's first collegiate rep, and I had to go on college campuses and give demonstrations of how to use a personal computer. And, why would you spend $3,000 to get a computer in 1988? And because nobody had them before, and people were showing up on college campuses, and all of a sudden the Macintosh had been around a couple of years, and IBM released a new brand of computer, the PS2, and your college bookstore was selling you computers now. They were in the computer business. And so I went around the country and did demos because I looked like I was about 17 years old when I was 28. And the reason I tell that story is because for IBM, every campus was its own little micro marketing system. And our goal was to understand where our leads came from, and so that we could manage this at 1,500 colleges and compete against Apple. And so I stumbled into this when I was young, and I had put on concerts and events, and I said, oh, I could put on computer fairs. But the whole goal of that was to get people to fill out a lead slip. Come to the computer fair, come to the bookstore, and we would match those lead slips that had the name, telephone number, and social security number of the person who got a demo of that computer. And we say, oh my gosh, social security number, there was no internet back then, right? So, and that was your student ID. And we would match that and be able to connect a lead to that demo and who gave that demo. And we paid the student $25 for giving the demo, and we were able to report to the store how many they had sold, and we were able to report to the branch office how many had been sold across their schools, and so forth. We could get our reporting for nationwide because of that match. Well, as I left that, I became interested in PR and using case studies and white papers to get people to publish our content about my company or the companies that I work for. And by 2008, 2010, we had HubSpot. And I realized then it's doing the exact same thing as that lead slip. It allows you to publish content, and it allows you to find out who's watching it, and does that lead to a sale in your CRM. And so that closing of the loop is what we're capable of doing, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. Let's see. No. Can you see me?
Mhm.
All right. So out of all of that, so when we do these, as I said, it doesn't matter how many people are on it, it's what you do with it afterwards to create content. So we'll go through that a little bit. Speaking of content, I have a book on Amazon, and on Thursday, this will be available for free. You're welcome to go pay $12.95 today, but on Thursday it will be free. And for attending, I would love you to have a copy. And I tell the story about being that collegiate rep and how it got me to understand that content today is not about getting an editor to write about you, but you publish your own content, and you know the value of that because you know the leads that you get. So podcasting over the last several years has kind of replaced webinars. It's sort of the same, but a different set of tools. It's kind of like having your own radio station, your own radio show. And it's become this huge, right? 500 million listeners. So there's a lot of exploratory and discovery that you can do, both as a listener, but also in building your audience. And and it's a great way to build trust with people. If and I say podcasting is kind of the new networking, even, right? Would you like to be on my show? What a great way to network with people that you don't know, and get to know them. And again, the whole thing I want you to walk away from today is it's a gold mine for content. And so it's really for anybody. Who's your audience and what do you want to accomplish? It could be sales. I mean, I kind of come at it from that sales and marketing perspective, but it could be your PTA. It could be, if you understand how to use these tools, it's not that hard, much harder than putting together a PowerPoint presentation, or you can hire someone to do it if you have a business. But it's really for anybody. And as we've pointed out today, it's also, you can be a guest and you can have your own. And as a guest, you can get the transcript and do some of the things I'll show you as well. But really understanding your audience. Chris and I work together more and more now. I think we're entering 2025, really, looking to do this kind of work with people. We've been creating media together for about 3 or 4 years, but we start with who's your audience and what are your goals? And then more importantly, what are their goals? Right? How can we use these tools to help give them a good experience? And so content, when we say tailoring it to their needs, that could be software, could be a spreadsheet that you make available from your website, to help people plan. It could be some educational things like a book that you download from your website or you have available on Amazon. The old Cy Sims method of selling was an educated consumer is our best customer, right? I have a client right now where I've been recording their sales training meetings and turning that into this kind of content, into an ebook, into presentations, into a sales briefing, right? And the interesting thing about the ebook was people at first said, well, we don't want to give away proprietary information. And I said, but this is the stuff you're trying to get your salespeople to explain. Why wouldn't you give a book, or why wouldn't you host a podcast? So there's lots of ways to get there. You can, I have a document on my website called 9 different formats for recording podcasts. Could be a presentation, it could be a roundtable, could be 2 people talking to each other. My favorite way to do it is to find people to interview, because I feel like I get my story out by getting people to tell their story. That's what we help people do when we work with them on setting up their podcasts and operating their podcast. So, yeah, so podcasting is really about pre-production, having a plan, production, recording that, and setting up your studio so that you can live stream or record. And then in post-production, it's about editing and sharing that content in different formats on different channels. And so the tools that we use are Restream, which is like Zoom, but it allows us to have titling, and it allows us to have a logo on the screen, and I'm going to show you that. Descript is a way to take the recording from Restream and put it into from Restream and put it into Descript. And Descript then turns that into a transcript, and you can literally edit it and extract clips by working on it like a Word document, taking these 3 sentences and making a clip. And then Canva allows you to do the post-production work of making it into Instagram or TikTok and doing your editing. So these are the foundational tools that we use. And I have a demo. Bear with me. I just shared a tab. I guess I want to share a whole window. Oh, I don't know if Sarah's on. She was going to join us here. Can you see my screen? Hey, Sarah.
One sec.
Can you all see my screen?
I see
And do you see me?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good. So I've just brought you into our studio,
Oh,
and
okay.
you can see here. Let me move this to this side. On the left side are different types of presentation chapters. So your show can change throughout. In the middle is the screen where you see me. And on the right-hand side, I have what's called captions that are open, and it allows me to have titling. So to change, to different titles as the show goes on. You can, like Zoom, have a background. So I have my name on the background here, so I probably wouldn't do it in the lower third. But these are the kinds of things that you can plan in advance. And we just let Sarah on, who's a guest on the show here today. And this is really meta. Hi, Sarah.
Sorry about that. I was a little confused about.
Don't worry about it. We're showing how a podcast, this is how a podcast works. So this would allow, you see in the upper right-hand corner, the social media icons.
Oh.
This is what you would click to go live, and that would then stream to Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram or TikTok or anybody that works with Restream. So I can have up to 10 guests. I can stream it out to YouTube or LinkedIn, and on LinkedIn I can have people. I've promoted it and have people attend on LinkedIn and use the chat to ask questions, and then those questions come in here. So I can run polls with third party tools, and so that's really the production side, right? So we've in pre-production planned what the studio is going to look like and come up with our questions for our guests and so forth. And then we arrive here and do the recording. And then did my screen change?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes,
So
it did.
imagine I push the magic button and wave some fairy dust, and that recording of the whoops. That recording of Tom and I doing our podcast, and then having a guest join us, right? And then as we go through, the guest goes full screen. So I've just tapped 3 places in the script, and what you saw, the changes were the video going to that exact moment where I am in the script. So in this tool, I can copy that and say I would like they call their AI the Underlord, and I can ask the Underlord to create content or make this a clip, or do certain things. I can edit pieces of, if I have a repetition, I could actually just cut it out, and now it'll be taken out of the video and it'll just skip in the video. So what you have now is a completely different and much easier to use editing system than what we've had for the last 15-20 years with digital editing. I started out with Avid, and we'd go to a studio and sit on a couch for a day while the editor did the editing, and we all told the editor what to do, right? So editing is now you do it on your laptop and you do it like you're working in Microsoft Word. And I think that's really cool. And it makes short clips. It will write a blog post for you. It will write your YouTube descriptions. All of these are things that you can ask the Underlord to do. All right, so then the last step I want to show you is in Canva. And Canva is an Uber PowerPoint. It has clip art in it. It allows, to select from designs. You have elements that you can add, like PowerPoint. You can add text. It has a brand studio, so you just tell it what your colors are, and then all of your content will be your brand colors. It's a pretty cool, easy to use and yet highly sophisticated. Kind of brings together Illustrator and PowerPoint, so you can create more stuff than just use PowerPoint for presentations. Another thing that we do then, it's a video editor. So what we do is take that content from Descript and download it into individual videos. And then we assemble those videos in here to play as one track. So it's more like a mixer than an editor. We do all our editing over in Descript. If it's really high-tech editing, our team will do it in like Final Cut or one of the Adobe Premiere tools. But just to get the basics out of a quick transcript, get your clips and assemble them in Canva, that's the workflow that we use. Let's see. Any questions? I'm not here to like train everybody, but I just wanted everyone to understand how data and AI is changing the way that we use content to build that. I'm doing this presentation in something called Typeset, and it allowed me to take an outline I put together last week and build this within, and it creates all of the graphics and all of the tools. So, these are the tools to learn and explore, and come work with us if you need help. But once you've got it done, we want to look at how do we get these out for people to see. And again, the live stream, I usually get 1 to 4 people for my podcast. And my goal is to, really impact that in 2025 and have a lot more people come and learn stuff like this. But when you send it out live from Restream, you end up on YouTube live. And then those clips that I showed you we post those as shorts or short videos. We also can stream live to Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. And again, once you've taken it through Descript and created stuff in Canva, you can post it out there as shorter versions on those platforms. And then Spotify, you have to use their software to do your live streaming, but you can have a live stream on Spotify. I just have to have a second production set running at the same time. Not for me. And then afterwards, the full episode can be that you've recorded in Restream. You can download, put your front and back end, like I have an intro and an outro that I use all the time, and then upload it to Spotify and catalog all of your long form shows there. And again, how many people do you need in your audience on Spotify? If you have something that's on message and 10 people a month listen and 2 of them reach out, that's 24 people you met this year, right? And they are educated in what you're talking about. So I just think this is a phenomenal medium. And I kind of covered this in the last slide, but it's getting the material out. To blog posts, another one. The content, when you put those shorts up on YouTube, usually you can just copy and paste a little bit of code from YouTube and it'll go on your blog. And you can use the transcript that is in Descript and ask it to write you a blog that supports these 5 video clips. And, within a couple hours, 3-4 hours, once you've got the system up and running, you can create a blog post with video. And it's the same video that's on YouTube and the same video that's on LinkedIn. And so when they talk about having, multiple outlets, multiple channels, multi-channel podcasting, it's really using these tools that allows it to be pretty easy, right? After you've assembled it, you're outputting 3 or 4 different things each time you do a podcast. So maybe you do that once or twice a month. You can literally do 1 recording a month and probably come up with a month's worth of content to share. And so Chris and I are working, and Sarah are working with people and starting to turn what we've done in our 70 interviews into a service. So come on in the studio. And the other thing we want to help you do is then connect it to your CRM. So we use tools like HubSpot and Go High Level to build pipelines and email lists and help you do your newsletter and have a landing page for your offers. All those kinds of things that help you automate the things and give you your time back are why you use the CRM as the core of that lead generation and audience building. So I've been saying for about 1.5 years, like, this is really cool. We're connecting our podcast to our CRM, right? And now if you have an audience of 2,000 people, and they're all keeping top of mind, and they see maybe you're just your video shorts. When they're ready, they reach out. They can schedule you on your contact us page on your website. And that goes into your CRM. They can download your book that they've been hearing about, and that all goes into your CRM. The goal of this is that everyone you meet, whether you capture a business card at a networking event, somebody downloads something, you meet in a Zoom networking room, and you share your schedule on your contact us page from your website, every lead now is getting treated the same way. Right? And they don't sit as business cards on your desk, or get downloaded into email. And then what? This is allowing us to build little automations. So when all of these things happen that we're planning to happen, they end up in your CRM, and every lead gets the same treatment. And when you have a deal, you use the deal pipeline and keep track of those sales that you're trying to make. And secondarily, the landing page tells you, well, I did these 5 different things. Which ones worked? Right? Because back to my story about being a collegiate rep and collecting people's social security numbers, right? To make the match. That your CRM is where that match is made. And so it's really important then to think about your customer journey, not just who they are, but what are they trying to learn as they become your customer, and what can you introduce them with versus something you might close with. And if you really understand your sales cycle out in the physical world in the analog world, it's really helpful, because then we can map that to the content on your website and help you, have a sales presentation that connects with people where they are. Oh no. We're going to see if we can edit this on the fly. No. We can't. So, right, we're going to go to plan B. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so this works whether you have a book that you FedEx with people and you're working a spreadsheet, or you're doing this at scale and you've got dozens of white papers and videos and all kinds of things. It's a simple little model to help you say, well, how do I get to all this? It sounds confusing. And it is. But we're going to try and boil it down to 7 things that you can ask for help on, or get a consultant, or hire someone to help you with. But you're breaking it down into simple chunks, which is the way my brain works. So the first thing we need is a North Star, right? That thing in your brand that people think about you as. And different companies and different organizations have different needs, so there's no one way to do a North Star. But for us, for me at Publio and our team, our North Star is helping you find your North Star. And it could be something. I did work in the packaging space, and we created a booklet and a blog and some video, and we all did it around the theme of Chief Packaging Officer, because there's no such thing in the industry, and our client wanted to be a hit, and it really was. For Chris, Chris has been, since I've known him for 3 or 4 years, it's been all about profiting off your passion. That's a North Star, right? And then it's something that people can connect to, because I see how passionate he is. He knows how passionate I am, and he really does help me do a better job. So I profit off my passion, right? It's a great North Star. So what's yours? And it's your why. And there's lots of ways for us to get there, but typically within a few weeks of customer interviews and just interviewing we can understand what that is, and we might come up with a creative way to express it. We may just make it a tagline, but it's something that you own and you feel comfortable with, right? And that you can, if you have a little bigger organization, you can teach some salespeople about that. You can do some fun exercises and help them express that brand their own way, that North Star their own way. But once we know that what that is, we need to have an editorial strategy. So who's our audience? What are our objectives? What content is going to reach them? Is it how-to content? Is it a blog or a newsletter? As we come up with these ideas and we set them, and we can only do a few of them, typically, they take work. But if you put it on a calendar and you start to budget for it and budget time for it, whether it's money or time, right, it becomes manageable. And so that's editorial strategy starts at the top of what is our content, and then it gets to the bottom, and it's on a calendar, and we know that it's due on the 15th of the month. And when you have that, you can turn your attention to the third bucket, and that's publishing and promotion. And that's, well, where am I going to put this content? And if we look back to Descript and our Canva work, that's where we have one format for TikTok, one format for LinkedIn, another format for Facebook and Instagram. And that's where we think this through. So our editorial strategy then has a publishing channels, if you will, to reach and broadcast that light out to the marketplace. And then community and events. Most businesses, and I'm a B2B or higher end consumer kind of sale, not retail. But even retail operations, get a lot of their business by networking through the Chamber of Commerce. You'll see retail businesses looking for the B2B side of their market. In any case, for those kinds of businesses, 80% or more of your business comes through prospecting. And so think of podcasting as a way to help you build community. And also realize that your community is a place to go get content. It's a place to find people to interview. It's a lot of fun having a podcast. So have fun with it and do it, and realize that this is kind of the new way of networking and prospecting these days. So now you're starting to see that there's an actual business model to all of this. And when you go to the event, you might hand out your ebook. You might get a few copies printed. And the Amazon world, when you go to Amazon, and here's my book, you can actually, as an author, print that material. So you can print it and show up at an event. I always have, trying to have a dozen books that I can grab and take to an event. And give out. It's like a brochure. And they cost about $4. I think you have to order 100, and mine work out to be about $4 a piece. So that can be part of your content strategy. Where were we? Back here. So to make all of this work, and we talked a moment ago about prospecting and your CRM, this is your marketing automation tools. This is, when you have HubSpot, and Chris and I make HubSpot and Go High Level work together. So Go High Level is great for building funnels. HubSpot's great for other things. One of the things I love about HubSpot is if I collect 20 business cards, I can just take a photograph of them all in the HubSpot app, and they all end up in my CRM. And my landing pages are built in HubSpot. And when I'm working on a proposal, I can classify a person as a lead, and then that lead can become a deal or an opportunity. And now I've got my 7 opportunities that I have to write proposals, all organized in the same way. And that's really the value of marketing automation, is it's connecting the end to end from publishing content to calling up and say, hi, Mary, I met you at this event, or I saw you downloaded something from my website. It's just that one interface to all of those interactions that you have. And that leads then to sales enablement. If you're a bigger organization where I got a lot of my training, then it's training the salespeople to use the content and how to share it and how to talk about it. And when somebody comes in from the website, you don't say, oh, I did some research on you and I found all this information. And, it's like, what is it that you say? These are new people. You want to build trust. So thinking that through and the connection to the human side, and what materials can you give yourself or your salespeople to share so that supports your selling process, back to that funnel. Mapping content and having it available to share when that person's trying to decide, do I need a left-handed smoke bender or a right-handed smoke bender? Here, let me give you the smoke bender book. And then finally, an ROI model. How do you talk, whether you're at a boardroom table or a kitchen table? Where is show me the beef? And if I'm going to spend money to do all of this and hire people and do this, and it, whether that my budget for marketing is $5,000 a year or $75,000 a year or $750,000 a year, am I spending the money in a way that's going to get me return? And the real beauty of marketing automation, the fifth step here, the fifth bucket, is that you start to get information back and you see that entire flow. You see the red line along the bottom. Your HubSpot allows you to start building reports and also the individual reporting tools within LinkedIn and YouTube. But you can start to get a feel for how many people you need to talk to how many sales that you get. And so that's how all these tools work together. Oh joy. I get a lot of guff from people. Some people go, oh, this is amazing. And other people go, why did you bother to show this to me? So if you're not a process thinker, then I apologize. But if you are, I call this the spaghetti chart. And if you take those 7 buckets and you say, I have a North Star idea, and I'm going to come up with some editorial strategy. Out of that, I'm going to go out to the community and do my publishing and promotion in my community and events. And it's like the carnival barker for my business. These are the ways I put myself out there. And on all of them, I'm trying to get people to come to my website and get information, make an appointment with us, do the things that are convenient that help, some people call it the Amazonification of your business, is like, what can you do digitally to help people from your website? There's all these little tools to help you do that now. And the goal is to get people into your CRM so you can email them and make offers or maybe do some advertising on LinkedIn. There's ways to advertise just to people in your database. I'm not a big advertising guy, but we have partners that do that. And it might result in a sale, it might result in a lead. And if it does, then this idea of having your proposals or your deals in one place, when they come in, you triage them. How critical is it? And then you move it to the right, and you literally do this within the HubSpot software. You've got a setup of your deals, and you want to qualify them. Do they have the budget, the authority, the need, and the timing? Are they qualified? I want to then probe and build a relationship. That might be months. They're doing research and you're supporting them. And then eventually, as a good salesperson, that it's time to do a proposal, and you send it out. And once it's sent out, it's time to just listen and negotiate. And you might have, 10 deals that sit there for weeks. And the goal of a healthy pipeline is to have this organized and look at it every week and do what you can to help people become your customer. And again, each of these red blocks is a place where you might have some content that supports you. And within your CRM, if there's a particular book that you use or the ROI calculator for your business, that that can be available in your email as a template. And you can automate the sending out of that particular piece of content to somebody who's in that stage. So I'm going to keep going here. We use our podcast and have done so to learn and build all these tools. And we generate leads and we have conversations on LinkedIn, and we're turning this case study into Publio Studio so that we can bring these services to other people who want to come and collaborate in the studio to do this. You know, I would say start small. I loved how you said you did 10 episodes. You know, and dive in and try it, and you'll get feedback. It's not the end of the world if you don't have a lot of people, but again, the value might be that clip that you put on your LinkedIn page. Try different formats, get used to being on camera, invest in the tools. They're not super expensive, but they're not free. But you know, if you do it for 6 months, you can always stop. And again, this holy grail is the repurposing, and finding a formula for your repurposing. And we have a couple more minutes. I wanted to also say, again, Thursday, download the book from Amazon for free. And there's a bunch of content on our site, including an ROI calculator, to help you kind of think about how this can have an ROI. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much. That was really in-depth material. So that was awesome, Keith. Thanks, everybody. I've noticed we've had a couple people come in since we started, and I wanted to taking the last couple minutes to just maybe move out of Q&A because we're close to the hour. So Sarah, I know you're a colleague of Keith's, right? So you want to introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I am Sarah. I've been working with Keith about going on 3 years. It goes by quickly.